Hello everyone, welcome to this session in unlocking the research potential in your design team. Folks, we'll be talking about how to use research and be able to use that as a tool to create impact for the business and in turn create more respect for the design team, create more presence for the design team, and at the same time be involved in more strategic decisions, be able to really impact the roadmap of the product and not just, be the one who at the receiving end of the PRDs. And that's not what design is all about. Design is not about implementing or just implementing PRDs endlessly. It's about figuring out. It's in your name, guys. It's user experience. You need to figure out innovative ways to get in touch with your customers and find out ways where you can get continuous feedback about if they are liking your product and in terms of what they are liking in your product and with what they are not liking in your product. Now, we all know that, right? But still, what are the things that stop us? So when I talk to designers, they mostly quote budgets as a problem, timeline, approvals as the biggest problem. They believe that their management team don't consider UX research or user research as the core part of their entire business strategy. That's exactly where we are going to focus today. I'll share with you a framework today that will help you start doing user research with literally zero budget and minimal time commitments. Welcome everyone to this workshop where I share with you this framework that I keep talking about, the no excuse UX research framework. And why do I call it that? I call it a no excuse user research framework because it really will leave you no excuses to not do more user research for even your independent projects, your pet project, fantasy projects, or for your company or for the startup that you're working, or even for the freelance projects that you have picked. I'll share with you a framework in which very easily you'll see a map of everything that you can do, and you'll realize how long you've been missing out from all the gold mine of data that is lying around in so many assets on your product. So that's exactly what we'll talk about today. Most design teams, when they think of research, what they think of is user interviews. They think of doing a few moderated, unmoderated usability studies. What they usually think of is some long, cumbersome research, which will need you to create a research report, which your design team will probably take 1, 2 months, 3 months to create. And in the end, most of the design team end up with 2 to 3 usually one research projects in entire year. And that does not give you an ongoing understanding of what your customers want, what your customers are clicking on, what your customers believe about your competitors, how do they behave generally, how do they come to your product. You don't know anything. And that's exactly what we are going to change with the framework today. In this framework, you'll be able to get continuous feedback, continuous research data from relevant users that you have shortlisted basis whatever rules that you want. You want people who have ordered, you got it. You want people who have ordered 3 times, you got it. You can define the condition or you can define the segment that you want, and you can automate an entire research process around it. And that is what we're going to cover today. Just a quick introduction about who I am. In my 8.5 years of experience, I've led design teams for companies like HDFC, MX Player. I'm currently head of design at Tata Click. I've also been an ex-partner, founding member at India's first crypto unicorn, CoinDCX. I guess few of you may have heard of it. I've also been an agency owner, and I figured how to use research as a persuasion tool, how to use research to help CEOs, help startups make more money. So when I was running my startup, I went to New York and I worked with a Medicaid-based company, a company who used to give Medicare consultancy services to old people, and they were not able to crack a lot of conversions. And I sat across the table to the boardroom and straight up told that the only way you are going to become the number one in Manhattan is to do user research. And that's exactly what they did, and that's exactly what they became in Medicare. When you figure out what exactly the pain point, that pain point of the user that most people would just not know because they are just looking at maybe only analytics. They're just looking at random survey data, some random feedback data. They're looking at app reviews, and that's about it, right? Let's face it. Most of us end our research journey there. We just look at few competitors, we just look at the market, and that's the end all and be all. And that's what will change today. So introducing to all of you the no excuse UX research framework. This framework has simply 3 parts that I've indicated with 3 colors that you see here, green, blue, and red. And these are the 3 simple steps or phases that you need to take to become an infinite insight machine for your company. Research, when done well, can be converted into insights and ideas that will give your business owners their next product idea, their next business idea. It will give product owners an understanding in terms of what their product is doing and where it needs to change. And in most of these cases, design team would be involved in doing those changes. And that's how strategically you use research in helping you to become your design team more strategic and focused on the core business metrics. That's all that matters for the top management, for everyone, be it their investors, be their board of directors. All that matters is their quarterly or their long-term business goals. And if your research is able to somehow with some insight is able to impact that bottom line, which, spoiler alert, I'm telling you, it most often does. If you do that, you'd become the favorite. That is what the no excuse UX research framework gives you. What is a big domino? This is one thing that you need to tackle. And if you just tackle this one thing, most of the things will fall in place automatically. And that one thing is building the capability to analyze user behavior and building the capability to do data analytics. Extremely important, folks. I learned this the hard way. I learned this very early in my career that most of the time you're not going to get the budget for paying your users for user interview. You won't be able to get budget for site visits. But a free Google Analytics code, your management doesn't care. You can put it on your website and immediately you start getting a rich stream of data about the demographics of your users, the pages that they are visiting, the top events that they are visiting. And that lays down the entire groundwork for everything that we are going to do ahead. If you don't have data analytics, you probably won't even have even the user IDs of the users of your product. And if you don't have these things, there is no way that you can start collecting any sort of data because you really don't know who your users are. So the first big domino, the one thing that you need to do, data. All right. So 3 steps in this one big domino is, of course, first check if analytics is already implemented. In most of the cases I've seen, developers by default, they just use Google Analytics code. Maybe to debug or just like that. They just add the Google Analytics code most of the time when they create a product. But if by chance your product do not have a Google Analytics or any sort of analytics implemented, get it implemented. Even they would be needing it. Initiate that project, get it done. Once that is implemented, the next course of action would be to figure if all events are getting tracked. For example, your buy now button may not be getting tracked on Google Analytics. Your certain buttons, certain clicks are not getting tracked on Google Analytics. You simply write down the requirement to your developers that, developer, pretty please, I have all of these events that I would want tracked on Google Analytics. Could you please help me do it? And they might delay you for a while, but eventually they'll get on it. And eventually you'll have a rich stream of event data coming in on your Google Analytics. So you will know exactly the flow of all the events that are happening on your product, where they have started from, where they have ended. The entire flow is visualized in front of you by just doing this first step. We have not even started yet, guys, and we have already receiving a rich stream of data that we can potentially analyze for insights. So once you have sort of given that requirement for also tracking events, if they have not already done that, they might have already also done that, by the way. And once you do that, you need to check if all the conversion events are getting tracked. So if it's an e-commerce company, it might be a purchase, anything, whatever your final goal for the product is, see if that is getting tracked in Google Analytics. And once you have this big domino tackled, everything would come easy to you. So the next step is, once you have tackled the big domino, once you have figured to set up Google Analytics or any sort of analytics on your product, then comes the 7 no cost or low cost ways and easy ways that won't take a lot of your time that any design team can get started with. I am calling it the 7 wonders of research. 7 wonders of research are heat map, usability testing, guerrilla testing, email surveys, behavioral analytics, online user interviews, and in-app surveys. A lot of jargon, all right? I'll explain you all of these points in just a bit, but I know it might be hard for most of you to remember all of the 7 wonders of UX research here. So I've created a mnemonic that you might remember. Huge boy. I don't know if I've woken up any one of you, but that might be a helpful mnemonic for you to remember. Heat map, usability testing, guerrilla testing, email surveys, behavioral analytics, online user interviews, or in-app surveys. So we'll talk about each one of these just right now, but remember the huge boy, and you would know the 7 things that any team can start to do for research. So next time a designer tells you that they don't have enough time or money or approval for doing user research, remember the huge boy. So moderated usability testing, few of you may already know that. It's simply giving a prototype or giving an actual app to your users, being there on the call with them and actually giving them a certain task to do. For example, on Tata Click, I might ask them to add a shoe or shop for a sneaker, for instance. Give them certain open-ended or closed-ended, depending on hypothesis you're testing. And this can happen on free tools. You can do this using even Zoom, for instance. Zoom allows people to share their phone screen. And even if you don't want to pay for user Zoom or Maze or user testing, I've done this on Microsoft Teams. I've done this on Zoom. The second method within that is unmoderated usability testing. As the name says, everything stays the same. It's just you won't be there. You define the task. For instance, I've defined the app, the Tata Click app. I've defined the task, shop for a sneaker for yourself, and that's about it. I've sent that task using usertesting.com or user Zoom. Any of these tools will allow you to take a prototype from Figma or take an actual app and set certain tasks on it. And when the user open that link, you'll be able to see their camera, you'll be able to see their screen, what they're using, and you'll be able to see the entire recording of them doing the task. So you don't even have to be there. They may not be in the same time zone, and while you're sleeping, you just might be recording a usability test for you. So that's the beauty of unmoderated usability testing. This might be slightly expensive to start with, but I've generally got around at least to do some basic testing with the free plan. So if you want to learn how to do that, most of these tools provide at least 5-10 users for free. So at least try out the product so that you know how to do it. Okay, so heat maps and session recording. I'm not sure if a lot of you know that, but there are many tools out there which allow you to see where exactly users have taken their cursor on, where exactly have they clicked, where have they scrolled. For instance, in this figure here, you can see that there are 734 something clicks on this part of that page. That is called heat map. And session recording is simply, it gives you an actual recording. It's just mimicking what the user is doing on the website and making it into a video. So that's called session recording. And especially in my early days, I found that data to be magical. Most of the startups that are at a very early stage, if they're able to just sit in the shoes of their users and see what they are seeing and hear what they are clicking, you'd be able to empathize and figure very quickly where the friction is, where exactly users are falling, and where exactly are they getting confused. So again, many tools allows you to at least do a basic trial with 1,000 users or 2,000 users, varying on which tool that you're using. So extremely useful feature. Behavioral analytics, we just talked about it in our first Big Domino. Analytics, you'll get a lot of valuable data from all of these analytics, and this will form a base for your research or base hypothesis for your research as well. So extremely helpful method to start collecting user data. Online user interviews, very easy. You can literally WhatsApp call your user. You can, not recommended, but you can literally set up Google Meets and Zoom meetings with your users and actually talk to them face to face. When I was in MX Player, we were creating MX Tagatag. Literally, there was a short timeline to create MX Takarag and launch it quickly after TikTok was banned. And we were struggling to find what exactly do the creators want. And this was one of the most helpful methods that I found in the entire process, because when I talked to the creators, I actually realized what tools that they want, what does their day look like, what are the top problems they have. And Takatak literally targeted only those problems, focused on those problems. In-app surveys. Some of you may have heard of Intercom. Some of you may have heard of other chatbots, but you may have all seen a chatbot on a website at the bottom right. And these chatbots, rather apart from irritating you, are also sometimes useful for you to do user research. You can literally segment your audience. Let's say you know nothing about your audience. You simply ask them a question. Let's say you are an educational website. You simply ask them a question. Are you a teacher or are you a student? It's just 2 buttons on the bottom of their screen. They don't mind clicking it. Most of them don't mind clicking it. And as soon as they click it, you can now know that this email ID is of a teacher. This is how you can segment your users. You can ask even more complex questions about your product. It could be, what parts of our service is not working for you? What parts of our service is working for you? You can ask tons of creative questions on these chatbots and be able to gather a whole stream of data from there. So I worked with a social media company long back, and they had Intercom set up. They were only using Intercom for doing their customer service task. And I actually took an access to their Intercom and just started analyzing the data. And there were so many hidden insights that I found from Intercom that were just unbelievable. I was able to literally figure so much about their users and get some preliminary understanding about their users, that I was able to create products that actually were better than the competitors. They didn't just claim to be better, they were actually better because they understood those pain points, minute pain points of the users. Email surveys, I've talked about it already. You can send emails to your users, get data from there. Guerrilla testing, I find this quite fun. If I'm in a cafe, I sometimes would just go up to a person and ask them if they shop online and which apps they shop online and what they think about those apps. And just that is called guerrilla testing or guerrilla research. You are able to go to your audience in unexpected places or in the places that they usually hang out and are able to actually gel with them and actually ask them relevant questions either about your service, about your industry, or about your actual product. You can walk up to someone, ask them, take their permission, give them your phone, and take their opinion on whatever app that you've created. And that's called guerrilla testing. Extremely fun way to get a lot of research data. So now we have tackled the one big domino. We are halfway there in the workshop. We have already tackled the one big domino. We have tackled data. We have understood that there are 7 ways to quickly start gathering user data. Now, the 7 wonders of user research is extremely important for your team to get a hang of user research. This is how your team matures. Your team first learns to tackle over the biggest domino, which is data. Then your team learns to do these 7 types of researchers and actually build a thirst for data or thirst for user insights. And once you do that, once your team has at least some understanding of what these methods are, you have done it at least once or twice, you are ready for the next phase that is called infinite insight loop. This loop will give you an infinite supply of insights and ideas all year long. You can use this framework to even passively recruit research. You can literally define certain conditions and passively recruit user interviews with those users using automation. There are 4 parts within the infinite insight loop. The first part is building your special 50. So building your gang, right? So that's the most important. The only focus for you in the one big domino and the 7 wonders of research is to build a list of at least 50 users. You can segment that out any way you want, but at least 50 users that you believe are willing to give genuine feedback. And that's what I call special 50. All right. You build your special 50. You do more passive and recurring research with them basis what they are interested in. Then you meet up with your team, analyze that data, and then you put it into a Notion repository or a Trello repository. And then you keep repeating that. You keep refining your special 50. You keep taking people away who don't reply. You keep putting people in who are more interested in giving you feedback. And you create those special 50 list of people that anytime you release a product or anytime there's a new product update, you know that you can reach out to these 50 people and potentially at least get 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 of them to join you in a user interview, or at least 20 of them to reply to a survey, right? You would, of course, still not get 50 on 50 reply, but that's the aim. Building a list of users that are loyal to your brand or are loyal to you for certain reason. You can give coupons as loyalty points. You can give anything you want. You can incentivize them in any way that you deem fit. But creating that list of 50 people is extremely necessary for anyone to create this infinite insight loop. Now, continuous user recruitment, as I just talked about, right? You need to continuously focus on getting better quality users within your special 50 list. How would you do that? You can simply, so I'll teach you how to automate that later, but for now, let's believe this is happening from magic. But there is an event that got triggered. Let's say someone bought something from your product. As soon as that event happened, their email ID got saved in the sheets automatically, and that email ID got picked up, got sent an email that you have already created a template sent to the bunch of users, and those who reply will then get added to a certain special list that you are calling special 50. That's how you continuously recruit users. You basically figure out a condition which should be met for your ideal user. It could be on your product, it could be elsewhere. Generally, it's helpful if it's on your product because you can track that event, you can track their email IDs. So once you know what are those conversion points or what are the behaviors that our top personas show, you can have that behavior, add an email ID in your sheets and automatically send them a survey and figure if they are actually interested in giving you a reply. And if they are, add them to your special 50 and keep doing that. And after a time, you would have a very special 50 that you rely on for any product feature or any feedback that you want. Building your special 50, there are 9 innovative hacks that I want to quickly share with you. Of course, you can do an email campaign. There are thousands and maybe millions of users that might be coming to your product, but maybe few thousands of them might be buying something. So sending them certain survey even about the industry or even about understanding the general behavior from them would be extremely helpful for you. So even sending a bulk email for a survey, even if it gets you 1% response rate, it'll be huge for you. You can do community outreach. When I was working with CoinDCX, I actually literally infiltrated a lot of crypto communities and started hanging out with them, and they became my special 50. I didn't even have to recruit them. I just had to become friends with them. So community outreach, extremely underrated way to get more users. Referral, you can have your special 50 have some sort of referral program where if they get someone to get feedback, they have some sort of coupon or reward. For example, if you're creating an app for lawyers, it may be hard for you to get lawyers around, but lawyers can get lawyers, and referral really helps you get a lot of users very quickly. Influencer collab, now we also did that. We collaborated with few crypto influencers, and when they talked about CoinDCX, more people were actually willing to talk to us as researchers, more willing to give us feedback. And another great way to gather more audience, I used to even DM people who would comment on those influencers, and I would just DM them that, hey, do you invest in crypto? I would love to have you look at our platform and give some feedback in terms of what you think about it. And that really, and that worked. That really worked. Targeted ads, another way that you can get a lot of users and target really specific audience. So if you want people, let's say from Chennai, you can run a Facebook ad that only focuses on a certain demographic in Chennai and only have them see the ad, and you can have some sort of offer running on the ad. It could be an ebook, it could be a coupon, anything, a small incentive, a bait that you can offer for them to give you their email ID, and you can do the same process again with them. You can send them a survey, send them if they're interested in giving us an interview or a phone call, anything, and that's how you sort of take it from there. niche job boards, so Angel List. So there are a lot of job boards out there that you can post a job looking for a lawyer for a user feedback if you're making a lawyer app, right? Another underrated way that not a lot of people use, there are a lot of free job boards out there. You can just literally do a job posting for whatever your target audience is. Campaign with attractive bait. So again, you can mix it with the targeted ads. You can, as I said, you can have a bait along with it. You'll have more people responding to you that way if you have some bait that they actually badly wanted. Partner with CRM. If there's a CRM or sales team, they might already be talking to your users. Partner with them. Maybe go on a few rides with them. When I was in HDFC, I actually went on a few meetings with the sales team when they met developers, when they met different clients to close certain deals, and that gave me a lot of context in terms of who we are creating the product for and what might be important for them. So again, a great method to get user data. Or if you have money to throw like this kid here, you can literally pay people to become your user participant on userinterviews.com or userzoom.com. So another method that you can get more users. Once you have gathered that special 50 list or list of 50 people that you believe are willing to give you feedback, now is the time for setting up the research. So time for recap, guys. So we tackled first the Big Domino data. Then we learned how to do either of those or all of those 7 wonders of UX research. Once we did that, we started creating, or through that, we started creating a list of 50 users that we believe will always give us feedback, will always reply us. And once you do that, you start scheduling a list of researches with them passively in your calendar, and all you have to do is show up for that interview, and you don't have to do any of the work. And if you have not learned anything till now, this is the only slide you need to remember, because this is the framework that will help you really align your mind. So there's a simple visualization here. When someone who is new to your brand, who has just heard about you, maybe have just replied to an ad on Facebook that you have launched, they are a cold audience. They have no idea about who you are, who your brand is, what you want from them, what you can give them. They have no idea whatsoever, and they are cold traffic. Once you start, let's say you have email ID of a bunch of people, you would call it a cold traffic, and you would first need to warm it up. So what does warming them up means? It simply means that giving them certain tasks or asking them certain favors and see which of those people reply. So there are very easy or no cost methods that you can get started with, which are very low commitment for the user. I mean, if you don't know someone, you'll of course won't go to their house for a meeting, right? Would you? But if you don't know someone, would you just sign a checkbox if he's asking a question? You might, right? And you just give your opinion without thinking anything really, right? And this is exactly what we want. We want to try sending them a task and see which of these people are actually active on email, which of these people are actually willing to give feedback to brands like yours. And that's when you'll know which of the users have warmed up a little, right? These are the users who may have replied to your in-app pop-ups. They may have left a review for you. They may have left some sort of message with your CS team. They may have given a submission on the form that you sent. Might be anything, right? So it simply means that they might be potentially willing to give feedback or insights to you about your product. And once they are warm, you can start asking them slightly bigger favors. You know, the bigger favors could be unmonitored test, longer forms. At the start, you can't ask them to fill a 3-page form, but let's say you have built some sort of repo with them, you have given them some sort of, let's say, an incentive when you ran an ad, when they came to your website, they gave you a feedback that went well, and then now you are finally possibly trying a longer form with them, and they also reply to that. So you ask them if they can give you time for a quick 10 minutes phone call. Another great tip, if you are mostly researching in India, people are a lot more inclined to say yes to a phone call than they are inclined to say yes to a Zoom meeting or a Google Meet meeting. So that might be something that you can ask them and see which of those people reply. And if any one of them reply, you'd finally know that you have in your hand maybe a special 50 material, maybe someone who is sort of warmed up enough or knows us enough that he'll be able to give us relevant feedback on the features of our product or whatever our offering might be. And this is the funnel that you need to remember anytime you're doing any sort of research. If, for instance, to a cold traffic, you send a request for a user interview, they would immediately unsubscribe. They might block you. They might mark you spam. Right? You need to really time your research here. You really need to time your ask here to get the best results out of whatever users that you are targeting. So how do you automate? So I've been talking a lot about automating your entire process. How do you really automate your entire research process? And there are many tools out there that will help you do that. One of my favorite is Zapier and IFTTT. And these tools can help you create literally a zap or an automation where you can do something like a conversion event, let's say, got triggered on your Google Analytics that you set up in the first Big Domino. Let's say someone bought a product from your website. That person's email ID gets stored on a form, or they immediately get sent a survey through the Google form via Gmail. And once they reply to that form, let's say they submit that form, that submission automatically gets inputted on a Google Sheet, and that Google Sheet in turn populates Notion, and Notion AI can help you analyze that form submission. And this is how, without literally touching anything, without doing anything, by just setting up once, by creating a form that, by the way, should not take you more than a day if you're doing it right, or a couple of minutes if it's a small form. It would take you basically nothing to create a Google form. And if you can just do that, you can create this zap on Zapier, or you can do that on IFTTT, or you can use any other tool to run this automation. But just by doing this, you are able to just sit back, relax, and see your Notion get filled with AI analyzed form submissions from your users on a certain topic. How beautiful is that? And you can do this for literally any suite of products. If you have Microsoft suite of products, you can create a zap for that. You can do that literally for any tool out there. Most of the tools through these products like Zapier and IFTTT are able to talk to each other. And once different softwares start to talk to each other, all you need to do is sit back, relax, and see user insights about anything that you want really appear in your hands with less than 2 hours of work or 3 hours of work. Alternatively, what most people might be doing, if not this, they would just be taking an email ID, creating a form, doing an entire BCC on their Gmail and sending them a long stream, or even doing a MailChimp out of it. But that makes it one time. How many times can you really send a survey to the user? But if you automate this process, that anytime that event happens, that email with the survey gets automatically sent to your users and analyzed on your new Notion, it will give you so much free time in your hands and so much data that you need to analyze to figure gems of insight about what will work for your users and what won't. All right, so last 2 steps of the infinite insight loop is collaborative synthesis and research repositories. So pretty straightforward. Once you have gathered a bunch of data, you need to schedule a regular time with your team, maybe monthly, maybe bi-monthly, maybe weekly, whatever cadence work for you. But you need to set up some time with your team to have all that data put on maybe a FigJam or Figma and have it analyzed with them together and take out those gems of insights that I was talking about. And once you do that, you can now convert those insights or those results into palatable or actionable or fun visualizations for your management team. You can literally make an infographic for the top problems that your users are facing, and who would not look at that? You can post it on your workplace, anywhere where your team hangs out, and you can give them this broad understanding or even deeper understanding through these visualizations into what your users want, how they are, how they behave, what they look like, and use that data in their work. And once you start off, this sort of like sugar, they get addicted to these stream of insights pretty quickly. So you would have marketing team coming to you, asking for certain insights, more understanding about the campaign that they are planning for a certain persona. You would have CS team come to you. You would have a lot of people referring to you or depending on you to give them those insights about the user to perform better at their own work. So once you have all of these fun visualizations, you would need a repository. You can have it simple. You can do it on Trello. You can do it on Notion if you want. Any tool that's come, you can do it on OneNote. You can do it literally anywhere, but start collecting these gems of insights or these visualizations somewhere and have a way to easily search within it, have a way to easily read that for everyone within your design team. And here you have it. Once you set up these things, you would successfully be able to create an infinite insights of your users' behaviors. All right, so that's pretty much it from my end. Thank you so much, everyone.